Hello and welcome to the Career Change Studio. This is the place to design and create a new working life so that you can live the way that you want and need in your next chapter. I'm Dana Stevens, certified career change coach, and I'm here to help you work out your next career move. I'm going to inspire you to think about this transition in brand new ways so that you can think differently about yourself and what's possible for you. You'll also learn how to build up your belief and self-confidence so that you can finally start taking action. This is about so much more than just getting another job. This is about changing the way you live your life for the better. Hello, how are you today? We're going to be talking about fear in this episode. When I'm talking with clients and potential clients about what is holding them back from changing their careers, fear is a big one. It might be stopping you from even getting started. So lean in to today's episode because we're going to be talking about how to manage your fear and how thinking differently about it might just help you. So essentially, fear is an emotion, a feeling created in response to perceived threat or danger. And typically when we start feeling fearful, our body then starts to respond in a physiological way and leads to behavioural reactions. You might literally feel changes in your body, a tightening in your chest, maybe raised heartbeat, sweaty palms, adrenaline starting to pump around your body. These are part of your fight or flight responses to fear, but sometimes you might even respond by freezing, right? So typically respond with fight, flight or freeze response, and that can make it hard for you to think straight, make decisions, move. And in humans, what is so interesting is that we are one of the only species who can have this fear response, not just to imminent danger and real risk, but also imagined events, things that might happen, things that we imagine in our own mind that could happen. This is important for what we're going to talk about today. Firstly, let's think about why our brain and body responds in this way when we start thinking about making changes to our life or career. We're back to thinking about the amygdala again, that part of our brain that I've mentioned before in this podcast, because understanding it is so helpful. The amygdala is the part of the brain that is looking out for threats. It's like the alarm system that gets triggered when there is the risk of danger or perceived danger, and it has served us well over our evolution. If we look backwards, change typically could mean danger to us. Back to our most primitive ancestors, change to living in the cave or where we hunted could have meant being eaten by something much bigger than us. And then later on again, change meant we didn't know what to expect. Would we be safe from attack? Would we have enough food? Would we be able to stay warm? However, in the modern world, when we are thinking of change in our life, it is typically not going to involve real physical danger. Especially if we think about changing our career, the fear we feel can often be completely out of proportion to what we're actually contemplating. Even going for an interview or having a conversation with our boss around a promotion can trigger such an acute fear response that we can start experiencing lots of those physical reactions we talked about earlier. So it can be really important that we examine that fear. Are you really at risk of being eaten by that saber-toothed tiger? Is the fear response you're having proportionate to the danger or the perceived danger that's actually in front of you? Is the fear response actually proportionate? Do I need to feel terrified of making changes to my career? So I came up with this concept that hopefully you will find helpful. I call it the fear alarm. Basically, I want you to think about it like a fire alarm, right? This is a system in place to alert you to danger and to keep you safe. And when it perceives that there is a threat, something that could be dangerous, the fire alarm goes off. The alarm sounds. It feels loud and insistent. It gets the heartbeat going and frankly, doesn't feel great at the time it's going off. It feels overwhelming and a bit much. And when it goes off, you need to go and check in with what triggered it. Now, with a fire alarm, when you go and investigate, sometimes it's going off because someone has just burnt the toast. And then you can see that there is no imminent risk to your house or life, and you can turn the alarm off and calm yourself down again pretty quickly. But sometimes the fire alarm will be going off because there is an actual fire. This might be relatively small and you can stop it and contain it, and other times it might be a real risk to life. But the key is that the alarm goes off in the same way. It sounds the same. Your body responds to it initially in the same way, whether or not there is real danger. And then someone has to go and assess whether the danger is real. And that's how I want you to think about your own internal fear alarm. The same alarm goes off, whether there is just a hint of perceived danger, whether it's an imagined danger, or whether there is real imminent danger. And it's our job, your job, to go and assess what is actually going on and whether you need the alarm or whether you can just turn it off. So if you're thinking of making changes in your work or life, or even in the middle of those changes already, and your fear alarm is going off, just take a moment and start to really look at what you're actually dealing with. Is it a case of just burnt toast, or is there any real danger? So let's talk now about what really constitutes real danger when we're talking about changing careers, because when you're feeling fear, like I said, the key is to bring that fear close so that you can examine it. Instinctively, what we usually want to do is push it away, pretend it's not there. But really, that doesn't usually get rid of it. It just typically means it's hanging over us somehow. It's just maybe over there a little bit. Or sometimes I like to think of it like a black cloud hovering over us that we're trying to ignore and pretend isn't there. A bit like the black cloud that follows Eeyore around, the donkey and Winnie the Pooh. So as with a fear alarm, you really want to bring it in, look at it, examine it, bring it closer so that you can understand what's going on with your fears. When you notice yourself feeling fear about change, it can be helpful to go deeper. You might be feeling scared, but what are you actually scared of? The fear might feel big and overwhelming, but what are you fearful of happening or experiencing? Try and understand that. Typically, when I work with my clients to help them change their careers, some of the common themes and fears that come up for them are things like people are scared of failing, choosing to do something different and then failing at it in some way. People are scared of getting it wrong, choosing the wrong thing, making a mistake in some way. But it's helpful to just go deeper again, to really understand what's at the root of those things. What does it really mean to fail? What does it really mean to pick something else, another career, and fail at it? I'm saying fail in inverted commas there. This might mean that you don't like the new thing that you pick, or you don't feel good at it, or you decide that it doesn't really fit what you want. Now, those things on their own don't necessarily mean that you're going to feel bad. What typically makes you feel bad is what you think about that. If you decide that not liking the new career avenue that you've chosen is a disaster, if you pile in on yourself and tell yourself that you were stupid for trying it, or that you never should have tried, that not getting it right makes you an idiot or a failure or is more proof that you're not good enough, those thoughts, that way of thinking, what you're making it mean, is what's going to make you feel bad. Your thoughts about it are what's making you feel bad. If you're thinking, this is an irreparable mistake, there is no coming back from this, I've ruined my life, I've ruined my chances, I'll never be happy again. It's those thoughts that make you feel bad if things don't go according to plan. And the reason we know it's your thoughts that make you feel bad in that situation and not the situation itself is because somebody else could be experiencing the exact same thing. They could be trying something new. They could not be enjoying the first move that they've made. They could have decided they've got it wrong, and they could be having completely different thoughts about it. They might be thinking, well, at least now I know what this career is actually like. Or they might think, there's some things I do like about this, but I'm going to get clear on what those are and then look at what I need to change to get rid of the bits that aren't working for me. Or maybe this isn't quite what I expected it to be. Or at least I've moved on from a job that I really hated and that was making me ill. I've changed before, I can change again. I can now find something else. Or I trust myself to keep looking. or trying things until I find what's right. Or it's fine that I'm not good at this thing straight away. I'm willing to be a beginner. I'm willing to learn new skills. So hopefully what you can see from this is that it isn't the circumstance itself, that you've maybe gone into a job you don't love straight away, or you're not enjoying it straight away, you're not good at it straight away. It's not that, the circumstance itself, that necessarily makes you feel bad if things don't work out in the way you expected. It's your thoughts about it. And ultimately, these create how you feel. So actually, what most people really fear are their feelings. When they fear failure, they fear how they're going to feel when they fail, in inverted commas. And that's assuming that they believe failure is a bad thing. The feelings that they anticipate might happen if they get it wrong or make a choice that isn't 100% perfect, or if they find things hard at the beginning, those are the things that they fear the most. And so often people are fearing something, an emotion that could happen, that they might feel. I might feel scared. I might end up being angry. I might end up being sad or disappointed or ashamed or embarrassed. And here's the thing, those feelings are not guaranteed. Those feelings are a product of our thoughts. And even if those feelings do come, those feelings are temporary. The feelings are physical sensations in our body that we can learn how to process and manage. Do they feel great in the moment? No, of course not. But are they dangerous? No. You are not in physical danger from your feelings. Will you feel uncomfortable? Probably. I've actually done a whole podcast about the difference between discomfort and danger, and how to embrace what I call intentional discomfort. So you can always go back and listen to that in episode 14. But I really want you to think about this. When you get down to it, what are you really fearful of when you think of making changes to your career? Could it just be feelings? And what if you could learn how to process those, manage those, so that you actually don't need to fear them? This is one of the things I help my clients do with coaching tools and techniques, learning how to manage their feelings. So if we go back to our fear alarm, when we look at the root cause of why that fear alarm is going off, are you in actual danger? Or is this just your fear alarm being oversensitive? Is a worry about potential feelings the equivalent of that burnt toast? Something that is actually pretty minor and manageable. Okay, now you might be thinking, I get that up to a point, Dana, but what about any real risks that I might be taking if I change career? What about the money? This is a big one for people, right? What if changing careers affects my finances, and that would mean that I'm putting myself at some form of risk? Look, I get it. Of course, I would never encourage anyone to make a move that would put them at so much financial risk that they could lose their home or not eat. So it's all about being responsible and informed in your planning for your next move. It's why one of the first things I do with my clients is start talking about money and the realities of the bills and essentials that they need to cover. We are, of course, going to take into consideration your actual financial situation, and we must do this based on the facts. Is your fear around money and your security really justified? Is it your brain telling you a story, a narrative about how any change is too risky and will immediately lead to you losing your home or impoverishing your family? How true is that really? I want you to really interrogate this fear, investigate it. Is it really true? What financial buffer do you actually have? Do you have savings? If you decide to retrain, do you have the money to do it? How could you find the money to do it? If you don't have the money now, can you get the money in the future? Can you earn the money? Is it about working alongside your training? Is it about doing an interim job so that you can upskill or gain experience in your chosen field? When you have the facts to hand about your own financial situation, it's so much easier to be rational with our brain when it starts offering up these thoughts about, well, that's not realistic and that's never going to be affordable, that's never going to be possible. You get to challenge that. Is it really true? Am I dealing with an unfounded fear, or is that the actual facts? And then you can make a decision accordingly. You're not going to go and pursue something that you can't afford to do or that would put you or your family at financial risk. But if you do find something that fits all your life first criteria for how you want to live and work, you're going to at least take it seriously and at least ask yourselves, how could I afford this? How could this be possible for me? So what I'm talking about here is ultimately making sure that fear is not in the driving seat. We want to be making decisions based on rational thought, real evidence and information. And we want to be using our own life first criteria for how we really want to live in the next chapter. And creating that life first criteria, that framework for making decisions, is something I do with my clients. And working through their individual fears is an important part of the process to help them to keep moving forwards. Some of the fears I've talked about here might resonate with you, or you might have some of your own personal, individual ones. So just remember, if your fear alarm is going off, investigate those fears and ask yourself why. Keep asking yourself, what is triggering this fear alarm, until you find the root cause. Check in with yourself to see whether you are really just fearing some feelings. And maybe you're worrying that you don't have the capacity to learn how to process and manage these yet. And rest assured that this is something you can learn. And if your fears are based on something pragmatic, like money, get into the facts. Work out what is feasible, what is viable. Educate yourself so you're making informed decisions, and know that you can trust yourself. You're not going to take huge, massive risks without creating a safety net for yourself. Just remember that having fear is a normal part of facing into any change. It is not a stop sign. Just because you're feeling some fear doesn't mean that you shouldn't be exploring something, doesn't mean you shouldn't be looking at your options, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be moving forwards. The people that change careers and change things in their life, they're not doing it because they don't have any fear or they've never had any fear. They're doing it because they've learned how to manage their fear, learn how to make sure that it's not in the driving seat, learn how to accept that fear is part of the process of change, and how to move forwards anyway. You can manage your fears and you can create changes in your career so that you're living the life you really want and need. I hope that's got you thinking. All right, that's it for this week. Bye for now. And if you want to start making changes to your working life, come and talk to me. You can book a free consultation with me where we'll talk about your personal situation, what's really holding you back, and what you can do differently to start making changes. I'll let you know what type of career change coaching is going to help you, and you can ask me any questions about your personal situation or about my proven process, the Life First Career Method, a method that helps people like you change your career so that you can change your life. Just visit my website, danastevens.com. That's DANASTEVENS.com, and click on the link to book a consultation. Or you can find the link in the show notes. If you've enjoyed this podcast, make sure you get your weekly fix of inspiration and career change guidance by clicking follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you'd like to rate and review the podcast, that would really help me get this in front of people who also might be feeling stuck and lost. So I'd really appreciate your help. And if you know anyone, friends, family, even colleagues, who might be thinking about changing careers, please do share this podcast with them. You might just be the person that helps them change their lives for the better.